Okay, this meeting of the Town of Coventry Town Council will now come to order at 6 p.m. Roll call, Mrs. Lima,
Present.
Mrs. Shockley,
Here.
Mr. LeBlanc,
Here.
Ms. Ludwig,
Here.
Mrs. Dixon here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mrs. Lima, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Mr. Marshall, would you describe the emergency evacuation plan for us?
Yes, please exit this door right outside into the parking lot.
Thank you very much. Meeting minutes, Madam Clerk, did you receive any corrections for March 14th and April 4th?
Yes, I did.
Okay, have you made the corrections?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. May I have a motion to approve the amended meeting minutes for March 14th and April 4th?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll,
Discussion.
yes,
I did notice one thing I just want to check, the copy that we got on Friday, there was one item that looked like it was corrected, but it was corrected, I think incorrectly. It says like motion made by Councilor Lima, seconded by Councilor Lima. So which corrections were made? The ones that were redlined?
I sent the ones that I sent, you shouldn't have gotten a red line version.
Oh, okay,
What happened was, as I was sending them back to the minute clerk
okay,
with the corrections that I made
okay,
for her.
okay, that's fine. Thanks.
okay. Any other discussion points? Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the amended minutes. Mrs. Lima,
Yes.
Mrs. Shockley,
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc,
Yes.
Ms. Ludwig,
Yes,
Mrs. Dixon, 5 yeas, no nays, the motion passes. President Dixon updates. Town financial meeting is May 24th. It's an informational meeting. No changes will be made to the budget as per our charter, section 8-18. Meeting will take place at Coventry High School at 6 p.m. Members of the town council and members of the school committee will be present at the meeting, and we'll be sitting up on the stage at the high school.
President Dixon.
Yes,
May I say something?
certainly.
I just wanted my fellow counselors and the public to know, we have a work event in Boston tomorrow. That was scheduled a few weeks ago that I need to present at. So unfortunately, I will not be there for tomorrow, but I will try and reach out to constituents and let them know how else they can reach the other counselors or for tomorrow, but I will not be in attendance tomorrow.
Thank you for letting us know. Appreciate it. May 25th, there will be a public meeting of the Coventry Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee at the Coventry Resource Center, Wood Street, from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. If you get a little early, then you'll also get a little bit to eat too. So if you get there at 6, all the food will be gone, as I found out last time. But they are serving a light dinner for us. This is a meeting to obtain input from residents on their views relating to their community. All are invited to attend. On May 26th is the all-day Town of Coventry referendum, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at a variety of polling sites. If you live in District 1, go to St. Francis Church, 132 Peckham Lane. District 2, Town Council Chambers, 1670 Flat River Road. District 3, Club Jokes, 184 Boston Street. District 4, Coventry Senior Center, 50 Wood Street. District 5, Westwood Estates Clubhouses, 1A Lena Rose Way. Additionally, Monday, May 30th at 9:30 a.m., there will be a Memorial Day celebration starting at the Anthony Green, and all are invited to attend. This has been a very popular activity, and people move from site to site, and it is very, very well planned. On June 4th at 8 a.m., there is a family fishing derby right on Tioga Lake on Arnold Road. There's free bait and prizes. No need to pay anything for registration. Just come and have a good time. On June 8th, at 1 o'clock, there's Portuguese flag racing at the town hall. This celebrates Rhode Island Day of Portugal, which visits cities and towns across Rhode Island. On June 13th, there will be a joint council meeting. We'll discuss town facilities planning. We will debrief the referendum for the budget vote. We expect to have an EDC presentation, and there will be appointments to boards and commissions. This past Saturday, members of the council interviewed or had a super interview day, and we interviewed many people for boards and commissions. So we had a very, very good turnout. So We thank the members of the public who decided that they wanted to renew their positions on the Board or Commission or are new to the position. On June 14th, from 5 to 7 is Flag Day. The local Coventry Boy Scout troop in town will have a Flag Day ceremony at the town hall. And on June 27th, there will be a town council meeting. So lots of things happening every week. The list changes because more and more activities are occurring in our town, and we're happy to see that. Agenda B4, town manager updates. Mr. Marchand.
Yes, I'm happy to announce that we have hired several new people in key positions in the town. Mr. Herb Durfee has joined the town as the Director for Planning and Development. He comes to us as a very experienced public service professional. He's worked much of his career in Vermont as a city planner, city development director. He's also worked as a town manager, and he is already hit the ground running and is making some really great strides in that department. We've also hired a gentleman by the name of Brian Hartnett as the assistant finance director. He also has a tremendous amount of experience. He retired from the Massachusetts Department of Taxation, and he has a master's of taxation, and he's already helping us get caught up on a number of problems in the payroll IRS tax filings for 2020 and 2021. And we have a hearing this week. He's helping us get it all straightened out. And so that's a tremendous help in that department at this time, as well as helping on the audit. We have hired Mr. Brian Wood to be the new assistant town manager. He will be starting on Monday, June 6th. He'll be coming from the city of Auburn, Maine, where he has currently been serving as the city town assistant city manager.
Excellent. Thank you.
I have one more just to sneak in there pertaining to our engineering program. Unfortunately, due to the lack of engineers, our one engineer that we have had for 20 hours a week has had to cut back his hours to 6 to 8 hours a week. He's only in Tuesday and Thursday mornings from 9 to noon, and the pressure was on, and so we were able to find a gentleman who has accepted the job. He started today. His name is Najat Frotan. He has an engineering degree, and he recently, he's an asylum refugee from Afghanistan, where he previously worked with the U.S. Army on a number of things. And we're looking forward to having his help here, and more to come. Unfortunately, he doesn't have an engineer. He's not a PE. His work experience has not been in the field of engineering, but his education is. And at this point, there's a lot of work that we need done that doesn't require an engineer to do, but we're still looking for a PE. In fact, I just found a gentleman who is a PE that we'll be interviewing later this week. And this is something I'd like to readdress with the council at some point in terms of maybe accommodating 2 positions for engineering, one maybe out of the sewer fund, so that we can just use all of this capacity to move the town forward, because at 20 hours a week, we were falling behind along a lot of our engineering needs, and we're not even touching sewers. So this is an opportunity that is just fortuitous. And I'd like to just put that bug in your minds to think about.
Is Mr. Farad hired at 40 hours a week? And is he
Yes.
hired as an interim or?
No, he's,
Okay.
I hired him as an engineer coordinator. So it's not a full-time engineer title or job description. I revised the job description down to the level that was commensurate with his education. But because all engineering firms are hiring engineers, it's a tough time to recruit an engineer right now.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from Mr. Marchand? Okay, thank you so much. Okay. Next agenda item, discussion and or action from the town of Coventry. Opera funds appropriate an amount not to exceed $200,000 to paint the Trestle Bridge, which spans Route 117 and is near the intersection with Naughty Oak Road, Coventry, Rhode Island. Reference page is 25. May I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, discussion.
Yes.
Mr. McGee, could you talk a little bit about this, please?
Yes, I was asked by the town manager, to try to find contractors that could look at painting the bridge. I went to RIDOT and to their bridge engineering department, and they gave me the name of the company that they use through the MPA program. Contacted the gentleman, he came out, did an inspection of the bridge. So there was some flaking on the bridge that could indicate, because the color, the orange, that color could be lead based, so that he put something in his proposal to take care of the lead abatement. However, once it's tested, if it's determined not to be, then obviously we're not going to be charged for lead abatement. So the entire quote from them, I believe, was $185. That also, he also had an additional cost of $25,000 for signs and traffic control, which I had him back it out and told him the town would take care of that. Rather than them marking it up, we have signage here, and then we can hire the detail officer that we need to do that for them. So that's all I have as far as the painting. There are some other questions that came up, and we didn't get into anything structural. It was basically just painting the bridge.
So, Mr. McGee, does this quote include putting a sign on or a slogan or anything on the bridge at all?
It's for the bridge painting. It's nothing to do with
That's
sign.
it.
Right. And then, again, we did not determine if you wanted to change the color or if you wanted to put a sign on and install. I'm sure they could do that because they have to take the one down.
Mhm.
I'm sure they could reinstall one, but that determination made by the council on what they want for a slogan or tagline and what color you want the bridge to be. So now's the time, if there's going to be any changes, now's the time to change it.
And once this is approved, if it's approved, how soon could this be done?
I do not know that because I had not,
Right,
the windows of opportunity are closing very quickly because of all the bridge work that's being done through the opera funds and the infrastructure funds. So we would have to not contact him and let him know, put us on the agenda for him, and then we would know at that point where we sit, if it can get done this summer or not.
okay, thank you. Questions from members of the council?
I'd like
Well-
to add something. I've had some communication with RIDOT about this because they are interested in it. It's their bridge and it's their permit. And they indicated that they're supportive of this project, but they are concerned that there may be some bridge repairs that have been noted that need to be made before it can be painted. And I don't know what that might be. I've asked for more detail. They also said that there's a possibility there's no lead paint, so that would be a savings that Mr. McGee will also verify. So
If there are repairs, will RIDOT do them?
unknown, because
Unknown.
at this point, they said it's not within their 2 or 3 year program plan. And that's when this came up last summer. They immediately called me and said, hey, what are you doing? Because it's not in our plan. Are you planning to fund this? And I just said, well, maybe. And I don't know what that could mean, but just want to let you be aware of it, that if it's minor repairs, maybe that's something we can discuss. Or maybe they have other funds that they can advance this project because of our support for it. Because really with the town interested in painting the bridge, that may change some of their decision-making parameters.
Okay, so my question is, if we approve this appropriation, I believe we have 3 years to spend the money, is that correct?
Yes,
If things work very slowly at the state level and we're getting closer to the end of the 3-year period, are we still able to reallocate the funds to something else if we can't get that bridge painted?
I would think so, yes.
I mean, I'm
There's
concerned,
nothing that-
I'm just concerned about that. I want to make sure.
There's nothing that obligates the town to anybody else. It would just be the town's commitment to do it.
Okay. Okay, yeah, Mr.
One other
McKay.
thing, there may not be funding through DOT. However, that is also the Greenway, and there is some DEM funding available that we can go after to help if there's any repairs that need to be done. So it's not just RIDOT that we need to look at for them to bless. It could be the allowing us some funding, which is some trail money out there right now in grants.
So how would we pursue that? How would we determine whether repairs are needed and who's going to do them and at what time schedule? What's the next step?
So the next step is to get that information from RIDOT, because it's their bridge.
Okay,
They would have an inspection report, and we'd be basing it on whatever that report says. And so, because this wasn't on their radar, they're gonna wait to hear from us if this is a project we're interested in proceeding with. If it is, the vote is approved tonight, then that will trigger them to look at their reports and get back to us.
okay. Okay, other questions? Mr. LeBlanc,
No question, just a statement. I mean, this is a bridge that's a landmark in our town. Many, if not all, residents travel underneath this bridge. When vendors come into our town, they use this as a picture, but they use a picture from like 10 years ago, because that's when it was actually painted. It's looking more orange than green right now. I am in full support of painting this bridge. And I think we should approve it tonight, and then we can figure out what repairs and everything else.
Certainly.
Needs
we're
to be
just
done.
raising the question so that we
Understood.
can start moving forward as quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
Any other concerns, questions, comments?
Yes.
Let's see, Ms. Ludwig.
So, I did get a question about the cost of the bridge. So I don't know why or how it was done, but approximately a year or so ago, the interim town manager, before Mr. Marchant joined us, had put a $300,000 approximate cost on the bridge. And so Councilor LeBlanc and I thought that was way too high, and it wasn't an actual number from a company who had assessed the bridge. So thank you to Mr. Marchant and Director McGee for actually going out, using our resources to find the true cost and having somebody take a look at it. I think we've probably been waiting for this for a while, so I'm glad you were able to prioritize that. This is a bridge, like Mr. LeBlanc had just mentioned. It's at the crossroads, basically, or the intersection of districts 2, 3, and 4. However, so many people, even from districts 5 and 1, come into our town from that location. So this is one of the visual projects I think I heard this council talk about while I was out 2 weeks ago. I'm also in full support, and I agree. Let's get it, in my opinion, approved tonight, and then figure out the smaller pieces here on the side, and let's get it moving. Thank you.
Certainly. Mrs. Lima?
Did we get an inkling from RIDOT at all about how severe any potential repairs might have to be? Because there's a big difference between, painting the outside and maybe them changing some nuts and bolts underneath here and there, or completely replacing the sheets of steel or metal on the outside. I don't know if we got.
No, it was a very vague, there might be something.
Okay, well, just to reiterate, also in full support of this, I definitely don't want to dawdle on it, and I want to apply pressure to the state to maybe move us up the list if we have significant repairs that need to be made. This is, to me, is a first step in building Coventry back and taking care of our infrastructure and being a more welcoming and aesthetically pleasing place.
And I completely agree with what every member of the council has said. We need to create a sense of community, and part of it is the visual impact. Everyone enters and leaves, they should have a feeling that they've come to a community that they want to stay in, that it's more than just a road to travel through, it's a destination. So this helps to create some kind of continuity for us in the beginning of a sense of community, at least visually. Okay, you ready for the?
Actually, one more question,
Yes.
if I could. I'm just wondering if we should, rather than having to bring this back again for the sign, should we include the sign in the motion and just, for example, do 210? Because that might cover it, or 220. I'm assuming the signs on both sides would cost $5 to $10 grand each. Do we want to consider that for now, or do we want to have that come back?
I think it's a question for him, just because of D'Agostino was very specific that it had to be worded this way, just about the bridge. I don't know if it matters to you, Nick, but
On the resolution,
on the agenda item, when we were talking about just getting this thing painted.
It's C1.
Meanwhile, Mr.
Yeah, but,
McGee, what do you think would it be cost to put up a sign?
Once again, I am not saying that
Okay.
this is not included in the.
No, I
price. We just-
understand that.
Again, it could be between five. Could be under $5,000.
I mean,
We
I'm
already
all,
have the
I'm all
structure,
for it. I
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
You wanna talk about the sign?
I want to include the price. Because right now we're at 200, but do
Okay.
we really need to be at 210 so we don't have to be back at this table next month?
We
And
can
to
always,
this-
we can always come back.
Well, there's-
There's
Yes.
The 185 is the project in full, so there's
Um,
15K. So do we really need to?
Well, the 15 is actually
15 is
for
actually
the.
traffic.
For the traffic
Traffic
control.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm always a risk averse. If you're gonna probably come back to talk about it anyway, it's probably better to just wait.
But we don't want to.
No.
Right. If you're
I'm not
really-
saying I don't agree with the 200. I'm
Right.
saying, should we just go with 210, knowing that two signs, one on each side, are probably gonna cost 5K each? Which I think is actually a little bit
I
low.
think we're
but-
allowed to amend
Well,
the
that's
overall.
part of Rich.
Sure.
Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can amend.
Right.
the
We're just wondering if we
proposal.
should amend the ask.
Because the sign is part of the existing bridge. and-
Yeah.
Yes, you can
and the
amend
bridge
it.
goes-
So I guess amend it to 210
Kim, you
to
can
include
change
the
it.
bridge
Okay,
So
and
can you
the.
make?
Do I have it?
motion?
Would you please make an amended motion, please?
Sure. Town of Coventry ARPA funds appropriate an amount not to exceed 210,000 to paint the trestle bridge and the two signs on either side, which spans Route 117 and is near the intersection of Naughty Oak Road, Coventry, Rhode Island.
I'll second the motion.
So I have a motion to amend the appropriated funds to $210,000 to include signage. Is that okay?
Done.
Okay. Do I have a oh, that's a motion. Do I have a second?
Jen seconded it.
Jen.
Excellent, okay. Roll call. Mrs. Lima,
Yes.
Mr. Shockley.
Yes,
Mr. LeBlanc,
Absolutely.
Ms. Ludwig.
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon, 5 yeas, no nays to the amendment. Okay, now we'll vote on the motion. So it's from the town of Coventry, ARPA funds appropriate an amount not to exceed $210,000 to paint the trestle bridge, which spans Route 117 is near the intersection with Naughty Oak Road, Coventry, Rhode Island, to include signage on both sides of the bridge. Okay. All in favor? I'm
Aye.
sorry, excuse me, Mrs. Lima,
Yes.
Mrs. Shockley.
yes.
Mr. LeBlanc.
Yes.
Ms. Ludwig.
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon, yes. 5 yeas, no nays. Okay, we have maybe a painted bridge. Next.
Fingers crossed.
Discussion and or action from the town of Coventry, ARPA funds appropriate an amount not to exceed $15,000 for seascape improvements and adopt the spot program. Mr. McGee. Well, first of all, we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. McGee, could you please discuss with us and let us understand better what the Seascape program is, an Adopt a Spot program is? And we also have in the resolution, Adopt a Roadway program. So we need to understand what is included in this proposal here.
Okay, the Adopt a Spot, Adopt a Highway program was actually approved by the town council in 2019 by the prior council.
Mhm.
And as a courtesy, before we did anything, I wanted to bring it back before this council to see if they concurred with the prior council to approve this. And this is for spots throughout Coventry that we would have different groups or companies that want to adopt a spot to be able to maintain it and to beautify it. And in the highway, let's actually adopt the roadway, because everything is a highway in all roads. If someone wanted to adopt, say, Arnold Road and be able to walk that and keep that, then we would have several signs installed there for that group that would look at adopting that roadway. So it's all part of one package, but it's not just a spot, it could also be a roadway. And it could be a state roadway also, if that was the group that so designed to do that. Again, that cost for the Adopt a Spot program would be no more than $2,500 for materials, for signs, and to give some of these groups gloves and vest in to be able to go there if they're in an area that could be somewhat dangerous traffic wise, so that they could actually be able to be seen. That was the package that you received as part of the proposal that showed all the waivers that we had included. This is all adopted by the same standard that the state Adopt a Spot program uses. The streetscape improvements is something that I have been spoken to by council president many times about beautifying the town. What I've done, and again, this is only a conceptual, because we had to move on it fast because I wasn't prepared to move as fast as Mrs. Dixon wanted to. So we got the sign maker to give us a preliminary sketch to show everybody, and it's only, again, it is just a sketch.
Okay.
Anybody we have plenty of things to change. These signs would be 36 by 48.
Same size as the Trestle Park one?
Pretty close.
Okay.
How much did you say these would cost?
Is this what the 15K would go towards?
Yeah, not to exceed 50K. And again, I'll go through all that if I get this out to everybody. Nick, I know you like to be included, so I gave you a picture or two. Well, now what the streetscape improvement program would be is to identify the locations. I preliminarily identified 13 locations where I thought the signs would be advantageous to be on main roads that are entering or exiting the town. Just read them off, but you folks can make those decisions. Route 117 on the eastern side near West Warwick, Route 3 north and south, Route 116 on the north side coming into town from Hope, Route 102 north and south, Route 14 east and west, Route 115 in Phoenix area. We have it. We have Honor Road up by the intersection, Hopkins Hill Road coming in from West Greenwich, New London Turnpike coming in from West Warwick, and then Fairview Avenue coming in from the West Warwick side. Those are the 13 locations that I've identified that I thought would have the best impact. However, that decision is up to you folks. We would also need to obtain easements from RIDOT on if it's on RIDOT properties or on private property owners, and we would develop those and work with solicitor on developing those very simple easements to place the sign. It wouldn't be just a sign. We'd look at also creating a planting bed underneath the sign with landscape timbers, loam and mulch, and putting in some livestock, which would be shrubs, flowers like daylilies, hosta, lupine and aster, so that we have actually a visual with perennials that will come up every year. And then the signs themselves. The cost for each location would be approximately $900. And that's with today's rates of materials. 13 locations would be about $11,700. $2,500 for the adopt a spot highway program. That's why I asked for not to exceed 15,000. We don't know what the exact numbers are going to be. If there's going to be less on the locations, and depending on how everybody encumbers and uses the adopt a spot program and says, okay, there's 20 people that want to work organizations, then we would have more signs that we'd have to make. Then I can put it into the budget. This was all done, like I said, in 2019, and COVID hit, so it got put on the back burner. So now it's time to part of the beautification that council president has asked for, and that's why we're going to come up with this in a very short term. And again, what goes on the sign is something, there's a tagline that you want to put on. I've already seen one change to that. I've already, instead of incorporated, it will probably be established in, rather than incorporated, making it seem like it's more of a
Business. Right?
corporate. We don't want to make, we want to make it more inviting. And if the council decide they want to put a tagline, on all the signs, we can do that also. This is just a concept. That'll open this up. Ideally, we would look at putting the sign that being on white signs with blue lettering with gold trim, like we have at signs that Public Works have. We have at the annex building, look right and really pop out.
It's almost reflective, the yellow.
Yes, the gold trim on it.
Is it like the newer sign that you were
The one at Trestle
talking
Park
about? Yeah,
on
yeah,
Washington Street, yeah.
like that one.
Same gentleman who has done all of our signs, or same gentleman who we utilize. He's a town resident.
So I have a question. How does it get maintained year after year? Is it part of your budget? How will it work?
We would then we would make sure a line item for it, but I'd also be looking at promoting this as adopted spots. So this will
Okay.
be something, so we can put a sign there and a group could actually adopt that one sign location or two one sign locations. So
Mhm,
will it be a Boy Scout group, will it be a civic group,
mhm.
Girl Scouts? That's how I would look at it. This is not my forte. I was a environmental management major, but not landscape management. So we will work on it. I've got a master gardener that works for me, and I've already talked to him about some of the plantings. And that's how we came up with the pricing and the actual arrangement that would make. He would work on that, but he's not building maintenance department.
Okay, Mrs. Lima.
So I'm a big fan of this. I like people branding. I like people knowing they're coming into the town, but my marketing hat knows that this town desperately needs branding overall. It needs consistency in its look and its feel and how it markets itself. So, well, I definitely want to get these out there and they look nice. That's in the back of my head, and I don't know if anybody else is thinking about that. My other question might sound obvious, but I just wanted to ask it. Does the DPW have the bandwidth to be able to administer this program? Because you're gonna have to, I assume, recruit some businesses to start.
I already have spoken to a few. They've actually come to me and asked me when we're going to start the program. So
Okay, yeah.
as far as the adopted spot.
I wanted to ask just because I know a lot of departments in town are overwhelmed, so I just want to make sure we're not adding.
Just
something.
one more, it's just one more thing.
Yeah, okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
And then the other one I wanted to point out is maybe the potential to collaborate with the school department, because in the career and tech program, I think they have a landscape program.
Mhm.
It's for the students, and I know that they do projects around the school properties. And I wonder if they might be interested in collaborating with something like this. I know we want to give this to businesses and get revenue, but just might be something to think about where, kids can contribute to their own
That could
town.
be like an adopt a spot. They could adopt.
Still put it down to the
Town program or something. Maybe it's closer to one of the high schools or
Right.
the middle, whatever. But just a thought, because I see posts about stuff that they do in the community all the time.
Mhm. Mrs. Shockley.
I like this program as well. I drive around quite a bit of Massachusetts because I have small athletes, and I often see these signs, and I do find them to be something that makes me automatically enjoy going into a town more. I will say there have been a couple times where I have seen them in locations where I wouldn't have put it there. I don't know if possibly the location was nicer at one point and it had fallen off, but I think we do have to be careful that we're putting our signs in places where we are managing the location nicely. We want people to come into Coventry and go, oh, I really think that this is something that can add some civic pride to the town, especially if you're seeing them in any district you may live in, as opposed to, maybe one at exit 6 and one at 6A or something like that. So I do think overall, this could be a real positive, especially going along with, fits very well tonight with what we're thinking of doing with the sign at Trestle Bridge.
Ms. Ludwig.
I can alert the EDC in our next meeting about, or we can, about this as well, because we have a number of contacts, locally. So if this gets approved, that would be great to present at the meeting.
Anybody that will listen.
I do have one question. Our agenda says streetscape and adopt a spot, but the resolution says adopt a spot, adopt a highway and streetscape, or the highway should be roadway, right? So I want to make sure that we,
The adopt a spot it's the adopt a spot program.
yeah,
The adopt a highway is not for the spot, it's for the length of roadway also. So it's part and parcel of the same program. Same as DOT does. They don't have this two separate. It's adopt a spot, adopt a roadway in case there's a larger group that wants to do, like saying on a road that wants to adopt that spot.
okay, so do we need to say a motion that says adopt a spot, adopt a roadway and streetscape, or just adopt a spot and streetscape is enough?
I think either one is fine.
Either one is fine. Okay, then we'll go along with what we have here. So we have a motion to appropriate amount not to exceed $15,000 for streetscape improvements and adopt a spot program. We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? Ready for the vote? All right, Mrs. Lima,
Yes.
Mrs. Shockley,
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc.
Yes.
Ms. Ludwig.
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon, 5 yeas, no nays. And yes, I did see Kevin, was it Friday, Kevin? Friday,
Well done for Friday.
he thought he was ready to go home for the day.
Silly Kevin.
But he came, it was the right time, it was the right time, so it worked out very well. Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you.
Now, see, you're not at the end of the meeting, you've got something through right away. Yes, you can go home and have dinner, okay,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Public comment, if you wish to speak, please raise your hand. I notice we have some people on, maybe some people on chat. If you are on chat, please raise your hand and our IT administrator, Mr. Horton, will let you in. Is there anyone on chat who would like to ask a question or make a comment? I see no hands raised. Okay, thank you for participating. May I have a motion to adjourn into executive session for the following? For Rhode Island General Law 4246(5)(a)(1)(2). Close pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 4246(5)(a)(2), sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation, specifically to discuss the status of the Center of New England Cone receivership matters, captioned as Nicholas E. Cambio trustee and others, versus Commerce Park Realty LLC and others, PM 13-0350, and the receiver for Commerce Park Realty LLC and others versus Commerce Park Management LLC, PB 13-5001 with the town solicitor. And close pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 4246(5)(a)(1), discussion of job performance, character, physical or mental health of a person or persons, specifically for the council to discuss evaluation of the town manager. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call, Mrs. Lima.
Yes.
Mrs. Shockley.
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc.
Yes.
Ms. Ludwig.
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon, yes. 5 yeas, no nays. We're now in executive session. Motion to adjourn from the, may I have a motion to adjourn from executive session?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call. Mrs. Lima?
Yes.
Mr. Shockley?
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc?
Yes.
Ms. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon, yes. 5 yeas, no nays. The motion passes. May I have a motion to seal the minutes of the executive session?
Motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote. Mrs. Lima?
Yes.
Mrs. Shockley?
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc?
Yes.
Ms. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon. 5 yeas, no nays. The motion passes. Members of the council the council met in executive session to discuss the following. Close pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 4246(5)(a)(2), sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation, specifically to discuss the status of the Center of New England receivership matters captioned as Nicholas E. Cambio, trustee and others versus Commerce Park Realty LLC and others, PM 13-0350, and the receiver for Commerce Park Realty LLC and others versus Commerce Park Management LLC PB 13-5001 with the town solicitor. And close pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 4246(5)(a)(1), discussions of job performance, character, physical or mental health of a person or persons, specifically for the council to discuss evaluation of the town manager. In regard to the first item, Mr. Gorham was present, a discussion took place, Mr. Gorham was present, and also Mr. Marchand were present. A discussion took place, no votes were taken. In regard to the second item, only members of the council were present, a discussion took place, no votes were taken. May I have a motion to adjourn at, it's 8:30?
8:28.
8:28.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call, Mrs. Lima?
Yes.
Mrs. Shockley?
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc?
Yes.
Ms. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon, yes. 5 yeas, no nays, the motion passes. The meeting is adjourned at 8:29.
8:29.
Thank you.